Good morning, everyone. My name is Andy Beshear, and I am the proud pro-union governor of the Commonwealth of Kentucky. And let me dispel a few myths about what proud pro-union leadership can mean. Right now in Kentucky, we are on the biggest, best economic development win streak in our lifetime. Since I became governor, we have set a record of over $30 billion of new private sector development and investment in us, a record 52,000 new jobs, the lowest unemployment rate for the longest period of time, the three biggest budget surpluses, multiple bond rating upgrades. We are booming. We're building the two biggest battery plants on planet Earth, and they're being built with union labor in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. You know, if you go back to that governor before me, the most anti-union, anti-labor governor we've ever had, testified for one of those right-to-work for less bills and then walked outside and yelled at union members in the hallway. I'm a little bit smarter than that, both politically and for my own personal safety. But look at what a difference 6 years makes. Kentucky has now increased our union membership each of the last 2 years. We just had multiple of our union brothers and sisters come off some incredible negotiations and now are providing better lives for their families. It has been an honor to stand next to you and our other unions to fight for a better life for all of our families. And as we're seeing it happening in Kentucky, I'm thrilled because it means more opportunities for your kids and your grandkids and mine. And when I look at the future of our state, it's personal to me. I'm the dad of a 14-year-old and a 13-year-old, so pray for me. That's two teenagers. But when we think about why we do what we do, why you do what you do, it reminds us of how we're supposed to govern and how we're supposed to lead. See, people don't wake up every morning thinking about their political party or who's going to be the next president. They wake up thinking about their job and if they're making enough money to provide opportunities for their kids. They're thinking about the safety of the roads and the bridges that they're going to drive on that day. They're thinking about the next doctor's appointment for their parents or for their kids. They're thinking about the public school that their kids go to, and they are thinking about their safety in their community. And I can tell you that you all show up day in and day out to make sure that our families live in safe communities. We are a special place to live because of people like Audrey. That was a special introduction. People like Joe and Chris and the Kentucky Professional Firefighter Association who work every day for our safety. And I have seen their work through some of the most difficult circumstances. You know, we don't really like to think back to the pandemic. I was governor 3 months before that pandemic hit. But when I think about what we asked you to do, you know, every morning you're asked to leave the safety of your family knowing that you might not come home because of protecting others. But during that pandemic, we asked you to go to work and to be exposed to something that you could bring home. That took special courage, more than we've ever asked in the past. For that, I'm grateful. It's why we prioritize the safety and health of our firefighters. We made sure they were first in line for that vaccine if they wanted it. We made sure that we had all of the health care options, especially during that scary period of time. But in Kentucky, we went through a lot more heartbreak in the next 2 years after. We had the worst tornado disaster in Kentucky's history when an F4 tornado, though if it's an F4, I don't know what an F5 is. It stayed on the ground 200 miles just in my state. It wiped out 70% of every building in my dad's hometown of Dawson Springs. It killed 81 children of God, missed by their communities, missed by their loved ones. Yet walking through the rubble, when the storm had just barely passed, when you could still hear the tornado, were our brave firefighters and other first responders doing everything that they could. And folks, I've stood outside a collapsed candle factory in Mayfield seeing our firefighters run one of the most important rescue operations. We thought we had 100 people trapped inside that facility where there were cars where the roof used to be. While we lost 13 people inside that facility, I would have told you that morning that it was 100 plus. But thanks to the hard work and the training and the dedication and the expertise and just never giving up, even looking at something that brought me and just about everybody else to tears, proud Kentucky firefighters saved so many people that day. And then 6 months later, we got hit again. The other side of our state got hit by the worst flooding disaster that we've ever seen. Thousands of my people left with literally only the clothes on their back. Many of them didn't have much to start with. During the 48 hours after that flood hit, I still look back and believe that it was the best emergency response this country has seen. In between our firefighters, first responders, our National Guard, and thank God West Virginia and Tennessee answered our calls and sent theirs, we rescued 1,400 Kentuckians over 2 days. That's 1,400 Kentuckians that are alive today because of the work and the training of so many people in this room. So I want to say thank you. Thank you for what you've done, and thank you for what you might be asked to do. Your bravery is unparalleled. I have seen it myself. And because you're there for us, we've got to be there for you. I mean, signing legislation and providing funding to help with mental health care for our firefighters, it was easy and it should have been done a long time ago. I mean, folks, trauma is real. And it's okay to not be okay. The things that you see and that you go through, our bodies and our minds are not meant to take. So please, if you need help, get it, ask for it. It doesn't make us any less strong or any less courageous to get that extra help that you might need. And by doing so, you might set an example for that person who works right next to you to reach out at that time when they might need it. We continue to work for our firefighters day in and day out in Frankfort, from trying to expand compensation for training that's received in Kentucky, which I've advocated for and secured every budget cycle I've been governor. We're working on it again right now. I always ask our legislature for more, and they give a little less, but we will keep pushing until we return every dollar that we can from a fund set up for our law enforcement and firefighters to the rightful place it ought to go. In this budget, it looks like I'm going to secure over a $30 million fund for body armor that's not just for direct law enforcement, but for all first responders, including you here in this room. You are asked to show up at some of the most difficult places, and we have seen, whether it was in Minnesota or could have happened in Kentucky, where a little over 2 years ago, we lost 3 law enforcement officers in a very similar shooting. 3 families that I know and that I still keep in touch with. My pledge as governor is for those that put their life on the line for us. If the worst of the worst happens, you never need to worry about your family. We will be there for them every moment. We will provide them with every bit of help that we need. We will honor you by making sure that we lift them up. And if one of our brave firefighters has left children behind, we will make sure they get the best education, the best life, and have a whole big family beyond even your firefighter brothers and sisters that are looking out for them as they enter adulthood and beyond. You might have recently seen what a brave firefighter in Kentucky did, rescuing a woman trapped in a truck, dangling off a bridge between Ohio and Kentucky just about a week ago. Hanging from a harness hundreds of feet above the Ohio River, Bryce Carden rescued that woman, praying with her as he connected his harness to hers. Can we give him a big round of applause for that incredible work? I'm honored to be here with you today. This was an invite that I never expected, but one that I was proud to accept. And given that we are in this place called Washington, D.C., where we hope something will happen sometime again in the future at some point, let me just tell you that now is an important time to stick together. I don't know about you, but this rank partisanship this constant fighting, this people who define themselves as on this team or the other has to stop. You know, when I talked about how people think when they wake up in the morning, it's so important that we govern in the same place. Listen, I run as a proud Democrat in Kentucky, but the moment I win, I take off that hat and I serve every single family, regardless of their party and regardless of whether they voted for me or not. You know, now is the time. If we want this country to move forward, if we want the best for everyone, then we have got to find a way to move forward together. And it's more in the middle. It's more governed by common sense. And it's less chasing whatever the issue of the day is in Washington, and more focusing on those things that matter most to your family every single minute. I believe that we agree on so much. It's just the things that people disagree on, they try to pull us apart. And we have got to stop this anger politics that is permeating so much. I mean, I was raised on some pretty simple principles from my grandfather, who's a primitive Baptist minister in Dawson Springs. It was the golden rule, where we don't like, we love our neighbor as ourself. It was a parable of the Good Samaritan that says everyone's your neighbor, no exceptions. Y'all live out that rule every day in your service. And we need to govern with that rule a little bit more in Frankfurt and with Washington, D.C. So I promise, what you will see from me and my support of our firefighters and each one of you all is to give you the very best I can every day, regardless of your politics. My job is to serve our people. And I think last November you saw in Kentucky the rejection of everything that's wrong right now. You know, I ran against one of the ugliest, most hateful campaigns that we have seen, airing ads, picking on groups of kids that already struggle, attacking us on everything they can, trying to scare our people, and the worst part, trying to turn one Kentucky neighbor against another. That is morally wrong, but I'm glad we showed that it doesn't work. It's time for people to step up and talk to you about the issues that matter to you most, and not try to get you or me or others riled up against someone else. We got to have people that are for something and not against someone. We got to have people that live out a little bit more of what you all show each and every day. So today you're hearing from a lot of incredible people. The last speaker helped me win re-election, and Senator Klobuchar has been a wonderful friend to me. My hope is that we will see more of her leadership, but more of your leadership. And as you all are out there pushing to elect wonderful candidates, pushing to enact the type of change that we need, that we also take that step forward to make sure that our kids and grandkids don't have to watch the type of gross commercials that we see on right now, that we aren't afraid to let our kids watch our politicians speak because they're meeting the type of example that we expect and that we should demand from everyone. Now, we are at that point right now where we are all just exhausted. I know I am, of every day someone fighting for a little bit more of an advantage. And let me give you one last example that's really personal to me. You know, as governor, I'm head of our National Guard, and we have an incredible National Guard. Actually, this last year, they won the award for Best National Guard in the entire country. Right now, a lot of them are at Tower 22 in Jordan. That's where a foreign adversary attacked not long ago and killed 3 individuals there. All of them are from Georgia. This was an attack on our country. This was an attack on my guardsmen. This was an attack on all of us. But what is the first thing we saw from some people who work up here in Washington, D.C.? It wasn't grief for the families. It wasn't anger that our country had been attacked. It was trying to use it to attack someone from the other party, just worried about the number of people with this letter behind their name instead of that letter. You know, we have got to be better than that. Our troops deserve better than that. You deserve better than that. And our families deserve better than that. So my promise to you is I will keep fighting for every benefit that you deserve, every safety measure that you deserve, everything that your families need. But I'm going to continue fighting for a better future for your families, where they see better out of this country and they see better out of its governance. Thank you all. God bless you. I appreciate you having me.